It's honestly,
It's so good.
I don't even, as much as we need classroom teachers, I don't even think I will.
Yeah, we'll eventually get in there,
Yeah,
but we'll take our time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, are you going to listen out? Sorry, so random.
No,
Are you going?
no, but we had a festival cancelled in Newcastle, so we might go.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah,
I am going.
yeah.
I got tickets.
Shit, wait, who's, like, Ice Spices?
Oh, really?
Metro Boomin.
Metro Boomin, Lil Uzi Vert. Oh, so good. Let's go. Skrillex, 410.
Oh,
And no one's pulled out, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
And Corey LeRae, she's the one that she sings the really popular song that plays too. Yeah.
No, she's got some hits. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good vibe. The
Yeah.
tickets are not sold out yet.
Really
Knockout, because there's knockout on the same night.
Oh, okay.
I love that we're talking about.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's also part of it. It's good. No, I like it.
Alright.
Yeah. Well.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us for another Part the Piece interview. I've got my uni bestie,
Woo!
Anastasia.
Hey.
Thank you for coming on. Been chatting about some.
Yeah, this has been a long time.
Yeah.
I swear we've been talking about this for a really long time to do this.
I think when we first met.
Met. Yeah.
So,
We just started talking about life and our stories and what we've been through. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you for coming on. It's I've done one of these for a bit, so it's cool.
Yeah.
And especially someone like that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that
Good chat.
personal relationship
Yeah.
and a good chat. We always have good chats.
Yes, we do.
Always.
On and off camera.
On and off camera, of course, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, just for the people to know who you are, what you do, obviously you're teaching.
We're doing teaching. We're becoming teachers. We're coming. Almost there.
Almost.
Almost there. Don't say my age. Like,
Yeah, you can say that whenever you want. Yeah.
21. Anastasia said that. We go to uni together. That's like, what else? I dance teach. That's another thing. And yeah, like my little motto in life, always help the little ones and get them to grow into the beautiful people that they can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do.
Exactly.
Like, that's why I love working with kids. Plus, I feel like that can be not easy to reason, but I love the guiding, the nurturing, the navigating them to be the best version of themselves.
See.
Yeah.
Was teaching always on your...
Always, forever. I
Yeah.
like the way I kind of stumbled into it was when I was 14, and it was from Duke of Ed because I did community service.
Yeah.
And I went into dance teaching through that, and I did my community service at the dance school that I used to dance at, I still do. And then I just really loved just helping them, teaching them, learning new ways, new tricks, and then I was talking to my mum, and I was I don't know what to do. I was either going to go to rehabilitation, kind of psychology side of things. I was jumping from that because I wanted to help people. That was all I wanted to do was help people because I find that is what's most fulfilling in life.
Yeah.
Not the money side, I'm not money hungry or anything like that. If that's people's motivation, then I have no judgment on that. But I don't know, I just think that's always what kind of centered, that was the center of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And and since I love teaching and dance teaching, that's kind of where I wanted to navigate myself into it. And then I actually only applied for Notre Dame, fun fact. Only applied for Notre Dame, didn't apply to any other unis. Then I got an early entry and then I was that's it, done.
Yeah.
Because
you went straight at it.
Yeah, straight out of high school. I didn't take a break.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, maybe should I have taken a break? But for that long period in between from finishing HSC, let's just talk about the academic anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't know if you went through that. I had a severe academic anxiety. I remember the first year of uni, I couldn't even open my results to see if I passed the subject.
Yeah.
So during year 12, also this was such a recurring thing for during high school. I go on such long tangents.
No, keep going. I like it. This is good.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
But I had a lot of academic anxiety. And so I've gotten so much better now. I've got to say I've grown so much since year 12. But the pressure, I couldn't even open exam results for 2-3 weeks. And if you were my friends, God bless them, they fucking put up with me. I would literally sit there, my teachers would be just look at it. It's not bad. And I was I cannot look. And it's when your whole body just starts shaking and then you start panicking, your heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
And then the best way
Like
for
natural stress response.
and exactly. And which is not the best way to do was for me, I avoided. Which is like not a good way to cope with things, but sooner or later I got used to it, and then I just told myself, you know, to not put pressure on myself to to get the best marks, to be the best, to be perfect. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, since, you know, I think since coming to uni and we have such a good uni group.
We do, yeah.
And everyone's really chill, oh, what did you get? What's this? Do you want some help with this? We're very helpful with one another. I think that's really put the anxiety to the side and academic wise. So yeah.
Oh, good.
What about you? Did you ever experience the same?
Yeah, I did. I wish if I stressed less about ATAR and HSC, I would have done better. Generally.
Oh yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously, hindsight is 2020. You wish you just knew what path you could go on, but then it was all necessary. Yeah, it was frustrating.
It was frustrating.
And then, I mean, I got over this, but initially, both my brothers got 93.15%.
Oh, that's hard. That is so hard to have siblings. You're the youngest and you're rock on.
I looked at my projected ATAR, it was 53. I was like, what? And then,
since when?
And then I got a 78, which was on par for me because I was always B.
Dead set. I think I got the same.
Really?
No, I mean, I kid you not, because no. And then I did Jukabed, so I got 2 extra ATAR points. So I got technically an 80, but if you take the 2 away,
still,
it's a 78. We got the same.
Let's fucking go. We're very mid.
Mid, but we're there.
No, we're there. We're fucking mid. I didn't know it.
After when I got to HSC, I remember just being oh, fuck this. I was you go through it though. You're probably after trials, I remember I couldn't even touch a book.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can't blame it since then. I find it so hard to study. I don't feel the same.
Yeah.
And centering your attention. When doing land type, I was I have to be really consistent with myself and being I have to sit down, do half an hour.
Yeah.
It was the motivation.
Yeah.
I feel after that, first year of uni and then COVID, motivation went left, right, center, down.
Yeah. And you put so much into with 13 years of school, and you put so much into that last year. You get that reward, and then you're oh shit, what do I get? And then you're now back in studying for another 4 years.
4 years.
Fuck.
And then
do that again.
And then I was thinking to myself, do I want to do my masters? I'm I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
Oh gosh.
That's interesting. I like that. You mentioned you kind of always had that perfectionism.
Oh yeah, always growing up. Yeah. It started from young though.
Yeah.
And you know what it started with? My hair.
With your hair, really?
Yes. I was very, my parents, I did their heads in. I remember I have such a vivid memory. Mum was away and Dad was doing my hair. And I literally was about to burst into tears. I was no, this is not how Mum does it, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I think my perfectionism does cause a lot of anxiety because I've now come to terms I can't be perfect all the time. And when things go wrong within friendships and stuff like that, it does, because I don't want to ever make anyone feel upset, or it's just a thing, and I want to just make sure everything's right.
Yeah.
I have this thing with everything has to be right.
It's a teacher thing, you're managing a lot of things.
And when my life kind of goes, not the way I want it to, not the way that I picture it, not the way that the script I put in my head.
Yeah.
That perfection is that idea, that notion, it just it really tosses me left, right, and center. So for me, during high school and losing my dad, it was I don't know, the world kind of just stopped. I do not know how to describe it. You've got this life, I saw my dad that morning and everything was fine, and then the next minute, your life's in shambles. We didn't even know my dad was sick. That's the way, it was out of nowhere, someone just cut the cord. And you have this I've always wanted such a, just everything to be right. I don't know, this idea of being right, the perfectionism of that. And that going out of order, it really throws your life upside down. So that perfectionism thing. So it starts from something so little and then it gets big. And that was also with my academic anxiety and all of that. Not getting the good marks, not being good, not having that, like, you know, not straight A's, but like you set a goal for yourself and it's like, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
And you're frustrated and then you're sad and then you just like get so overwhelmed and then like it just causes, it's like a ricochet of things.
Yeah.
So like it was it still is a goal for me that I can't always be perfect. So yeah.
It's a process.
It's a process of things.
Go through it too.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't know where it starts. Like even before your hair, like I wonder where it may have started before
I don't
that
know.
or something like that. Or if it was just
I don't know, but it starts off something so minuscule, I think.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just like manifests, not manifest, but it grows into something like, I don't know. And it's just like when you just gotta, what I've told myself, you just gotta work with what you have. And my dad always told me, he always goes, Anastasia, failure always leads to success. It always has stuck with me though.
Yeah.
Because like when things go wrong, I have to remind myself that, you know, it's, because I'm someone that like bottles. I bottle everything up and then it just goes everywhere. And sometimes it's hard for me to like bring it back. So yeah, and it's just, I have to remind myself that, you know, it's all right to fail sometimes because it will lead you to something, a different path.
Yeah.
You know, the universe has a crazy plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes that plan, you know, it doesn't make sense at all. And you sit there and you're like, what the fuck? You're like,
that was not on my bingo card.
that was not on my 2020 bingo card that year. And then you just got to work with what you have. And I think that's like that's one thing that I've had to like tell myself. I've got to work with what I have at the moment. And, you know, if that's not gonna, you know, if that's just not what I want, I've just got to work with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no.
I feel like I'm rambling, not making sense.
No, it makes sense. No, you had at the start and you ended it. It's good. No.
I don't know. Do you have a thing that kind of like stems from you and that kind of like?
Definitely. Well, because initially I felt a sense of failure from not getting to where I wanted to get to with AFL.
Yeah.
And then felt a loss of purpose for like a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then my relationship with the game also deteriorated. And then there was like straight out of high school, I was like, what am I doing? Like what actually do I want to do with my life? And then like all those questions come in there. And then like parts of your childhood start to like deteriorate, like my and your future. Like my a family friend of ours, like he passed away. He suicided.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And so it's
so
like
hard to see
like,
that.
Yeah.
And go through that. Oh.
It sucks. But
yeah.
I think through that it just helps you develop empathy for other people. Because you never know what someone
big time. You never know someone's story.
You're so like you're like the leader, I'd say, of like our group. Just like in terms of like just like your energy and like and you getting everyone involved and you know doing what you do. But then and then when you talk deeper about it, it's like wow, like there's always something more to the surface. But like wow, like you're really showing up as this, you know, real outgoing, bubbly person despite what's happened.
Yeah, you know, everyone for sure. You know, the one thing that I think a lot of people, you know, even I see this even within kids, like everyone's got a story and you won't know their story until, you know, if they open up to you or not. And it's the way that they've come out of that. I think that really shows, you know, who a person really is and their heart and their desires and who they are. I think like, you know, as I said, the universe has a plan and that plan shapes you. And that plan is not one plan. It could be a various different plans. And you know, if that was my plan to lose my dad, then, you know, I've come out of it now.
Yeah.
And it's been, I think, oh my gosh, it's 5 years because I get confused because he passed away a couple of days before my birthday.
Yeah.
So before I turned 16, he passed away.
Yeah.
And like, it was not like my dad wasn't like sick in the sense that he was slowly like dying, which I've had one of my friends, so one of my best friends who's gone through that.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months before my dad. It was crazy. Like the timelines are like insane.
Yeah.
And then I had another friend whose dad passed away in year 7, and that was unexpected.
Yeah.
So like I had a really good support around me, and I'm like so thankful for everyone who was there during that time. But you know, if that was a plan for me to lose my dad, then I don't think the world gives you a plan, and it's the way you come through it and go through it. And when I lost him, it was so unexpected. So I didn't even know, like, when everything happened, it was, I left for school. It's so vivid in my memory. My dad got on his ute, he's dropping my brother off at school.
Yeah.
I went with mum because mum was closer to work, so
yeah.
It just worked. And dad was fine, walking, breathing, fine. Everything was fine. And then I was in science lab. I was next to my friend Kira and my friend Juliet. And then one of the teachers, luckily I knew her through family relations. And I get my religion teacher to come to the door and she goes, "Oh, I need Anastasia. She needs to go." I go, "What? Why do I have to go?" I was like so confused. It was probably like 5th period, like sometime around then. I was like, "Why do I have to go? Like, what's wrong?" And she was frazzled. So like she was frazzled. I was like, "Why is everyone like so heightened?" I was very disorientated because I was like, "Why am I leaving school so early?" Like I was meant to be on a bus to go home. Like this was not my plan. You know, the plan thing.
Yeah.
So it starts causing anxiety. And then grab my bag from my locker. It's just so engraved. This is the only thing that's engraved in my mind, finding out, not after. I could not tell you. It's a bit of a blur that first year. And grabbed my bag, then and then my auntie's picking me up. I'm like, "What the hell? Like what the, like what's happening?" I'm like, "Okay, what's wrong?" And then my auntie goes, "Oh, there's something wrong with your dad." And I go, "What? What do you mean there's something wrong with my dad?" I'm like, we're all confused. She goes, "I don't know what's wrong, but we've got to go to this hospital." Like, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And we picked up my brother from school, and we're just like, "What's going on?" We're all like, we had no clue. I had no clue. My mum was already there, so she already knew. So it was like breaking the news to us two. And on the way, I was just like, all I hoped was that he was still here. You know, at least to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Something like that. And you know, when you get there, they sit you down. And it's not even the doctors didn't even tell us, like it was my mum. And like, I can't even like imagine what my mum went through.
Yeah.
Like being like, I had to tell my kids that their dad's not here anymore. And like, they were like, "Do you want to go see him?" I was like, "No way." In my mind, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to go see him," or anything like that. And by the way, if I cry, it's not a bad thing.
No.
It's like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Strong. Yeah, and I refused to sing. My brother went in. I was like, "Don't." I was like, "Okay, I won't." Anyways, and then I'm getting all these. I had my phone on my pocket. It was going off. And then one of my best friends, who I grew up with, our dads were best friends. She's like, "Why the hell are you not on the bus?" And I'm like, she goes, "What's wrong?" And then I just remember breaking the news over the phone. And then all of my like close friends from school were there, and they were just like, it was just like, freak. Everyone was like, "What?" It wasn't expected. And I think the unexpected is like, I don't know. It's one thing that I'm trying to come to terms with still to this day is like, I'm mad because I didn't get to say goodbye. At the same time, would I want to see him go through all of that? So I think it's really hard to understand that concept. But you know, the grief within all that, you know, grief is like all the unexpressed love that you can't give anymore to that person.
Right. Yeah. I like that.
I heard it from someone. I was watching something and I was like, you know what, that is just so, it's so true, and it's such a beautiful thing because it reminds you of how much love you had for that person.
Yeah.
And no matter how they went, you know, it could have been how you stayed with your friend. He committed suicide, which is like the most devastating thing you could see a person go through.
Yeah.
Or the unexpected of like, you know, just using my dad for example.
Yeah.
Just had a heart condition we didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was like the way that everything was described, it was like a ticking time bomb.
Really?
Yeah. So we didn't, it was like 5 years in the making apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was, and so it's a bit crazy like that. And yeah, and it's just, I think grief is also such a beautiful thing and yet such a, like, not depressing, but like sad. It's beautiful yet so sad. It's so juxtaposed, the two emotions that come with it. Because you can look at grief and be like, it is all the love or everything that you could have given that one person and they're just not here anymore. And you're like, what do I do with all this, like, you know, all this unexpressed love that I can give?
Yeah.
And you kind of just, sometimes you just, it's like learning how to deal with all the love that you can give. That's like grief. It's like, you've got to deal with all of it and learn how to cope with it. Yeah. And like, you can put that love into other things, like your family. Like for me, like, when everything happened, my family got very close. Like, it's like an intrinsic bond that like just formed and like, so yeah, and the support that I had around at the time, it was tremendous. And the school that I was at, the support there, like, you know, when I went through counselling as well, I did a couple of sessions, but to me, like being like 15, I was like I was like,
you're not equipped to actually, you're not equipped to be counselled. It's such a hard thing.
Yeah, and like they sit you down, I sat down and like, you're gonna go through stages of grief, and I was like,
oh shit.
I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do with that?
Okay. Yeah, that's.
And
I mean, I understand why they. It's just.
And it's even though I had so much support, there was people constantly coming in and out of the house that where I got so overwhelmed at the point where I just needed to be alone. And like,
just family members?
No, not even friends. The house was filled left, right, and centre. I kid you not, like all the bench, like everything. There was flowers even in my room, in my brother's room, there, left, right, centre. Even though the flowers are so beautiful and the company's so great, when that all goes, it feels like people sometimes like they forget. Like I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
And it's not. It doesn't matter if people forget or not. Like to me, it's like it's alright. Like you know. It's alright to like forget that, you know, some people go through their things. But yeah, it was a crazy period of time where like I try to recollect memories and it's so like fuzzy that first year. But I had such a good support network from my family, like was insane, like, and my friends were really good as well. And I've got to say, it was such a year that it brought everyone so close together. Yeah. It was so beautiful yet so sad. I don't know if you've ever experienced something similar.
Yeah.
And like everyone becomes, I think death either brings people closer together or it can create like a tear sort of thing. You see people's true colours come through.
Yeah.
And like it did happen with like my family a bit.
Yeah.
So learning to deal with that as well.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even like.
You can't slow down in this situation. You can't stop. You can't.
And that's why I need to be alone.
Yeah.
I needed to just go for a moment. I just need to breathe. I just felt like I couldn't breathe because there were so many people coming in and out of the house that like when I wanted to be alone, everyone was like, why do you want to be alone? Like you got to be with people. I'm like, I can't be with people.
At this time. Yeah.
This time. And that's why I have so much value now for my alone time. Because that's the way that I process things. Yeah. It's like by just like sitting by myself, and I find journaling really well. Yeah. Like such a good, good coping, not coping mechanism, but a good way to express your emotions and like a safe way to do it.
Yeah.
Do you want, I don't know, I journal or do you journal?
I journal random times just when I need it.
Yeah.
Like, do you just chuck just like everything that's on your plate at the moment, or do you just kind of like
I draw.
Things? Yeah.
I sometimes draw. Cool. I do mind maps.
Nice.
Like how I feel. Like I might put the date in the middle and then I just do arrows. Like my journal's a mess. That's cool. I used to journal like a lot, and I have come back to it recently because I've just like gone through kind of a period as well, and I don't know. It's really good to just use that as a way to express emotion when it gets all a little bit too much.
Yeah, in a way that makes sense to you, because like to explain the grief and everything that happened, I don't think anyone can ever really explain that. Especially you said like, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like,
it's heavy.
It's like an emptiness, but it's also really heavy. And so for you to have that journaling, I guess you can put it in a way that makes sense to you. And
it was so hard when you lose someone. I find that the hardest thing is to come to terms with which I'm still doing to this day.
Of course.
Even though it's like 5 years, a lot of people like kind of forget that like it still has an impact on that person. And I don't like throw my dad around like as an excuse. Oh, sorry, can't do this today because blah, blah, blah. Like I'm never have ever been like that. And I refuse to be like that. Anyways, what was I going with?
In terms of what, like the heaviness of
the biggest impact, and the one thing that I've now getting older and experiencing things and like doing things, it's just like that person's not there to watch you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like my dad was my biggest supporter.
Yeah. So your relationship was
my dad was my person.
Yeah.
If I like put it like that. So my mum is as well, but like my mum and my brother like was like, I don't know, like there's no offense towards my mum at all. I love my mum, but like dad and I used to like sit while I was watching, like when I was younger, like if I couldn't sleep and was watching the cricket, I fucking hate cricket, I would sit there on his lap and watch it just so I could be with him. And like, you know, he was my biggest supporter. So like, you know, when you like accomplish things and you start to make your life and you're starting a new life and you're getting older, starting new things, trying new things, going to uni, graduating, they miss out on that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you could say it's the same, they're watching from above, but it's like, you know, you really want that person there.
Yeah.
You know, like.
That'll never feel the same. That'll never, like, unfortunately, like, that'll just always feel that way. I mean, I like to think about it. I'm not sure.
No, go. Tell how you feel.
Just like, I like to like watch sunrises and stuff like that, like sunsets. And like, I do like to think that like, they are like that embodiment of the sun rising. So like that, as soon as that day starts, they are there with you.
Totally agree.
And it's more of just like a spiritual thing. You see the sun rising, you see all that energy.
110%. That's, I could count on, not on my hands, but like, there was a lot of like weird things like after he passed. And then I was like, it's spiritually, I think it's just like, it's crazy, but like, it's so cool at the same time. Because you're just like, sometimes you feel like they are with you there. Yeah. Like spiritually, like you just like, you know.
Yeah.
And like for me, recurring numbers is massive. 10-10. I think for the first year, like if I had to 10-10 numbers, 10-10 always.
Yeah. And what 10-10?
It didn't happen.
It was just
It was just a number that kept popping up after he passed away. It was crazy.
It's you don't know how to
describe it. Or like for me, like if I see like, I don't know, like butterflies, for me, it was like kind of like you know.
Yeah.
It was really funny. My family and I were sitting down and it was in COVID. It was I think my 19th birthday. Yeah. And we'll listen to some random, you know, like the foxtrot music, like you just play, the background music. Yeah. And we're all sitting down and having dinner. And then mum starts talking about dad and we're just like, just talking. And then she goes, oh my God, this is a song that, you know, Dad and I used to listen to all the time. And we're randomly talking to him. So it's like really weird recurrence like that. And my dad used to call me like Little Ray of Sunshine. Yeah. So when people call me Sunshine, I'm like, oh.
Damn, wow.
So like.
That stuff is like, it's way too common for it to not be a thing, I feel like.
And like, he loved, he always had like Hawaiian shirts. My dad loved weird Hawaiian shirts, don't ask me. So
fashion statement.
And it was like funny. So like Hawaiian shirts are like kind of like, you know.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and like little weird recurrences like that. And what else? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What else has happened that are like really weird recurrences? So that does make me feel like he is there with me.
Yeah.
But it's like also like when you have like moments like that, you're like, oh wow, like I just wish I could tell him right now what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's nothing you can, unfortunately, like that's always gonna be there. But
but I love that you said about the sunrise and everything.
Yeah. Like and like you like talking to someone about what they're going through, like it sucks. You can't do anything or give anything to them. It's a process that they've just got to go on by themselves to find their own silver lining, or they find their own
the silver lining within it all.
It's like that's impossible to find, and like no one can replace it. It's just you just have to move on. Like in a new path. It's like you're going like this, and then that path has just dropped off, and you just have to find another one. Like it's
got to build it.
Yeah.
It's like building your path again. Like when something like that massive happens within anyone's life, it's like, how can you rebuild it? How can you give it, purpose again?
Yeah, I like that.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
That's a good way to put it.
And like, in the darkest of times, you've got to find your light. I think that's like, whenever you find yourself going back into that kind of like, that area of darkness.
That void, I guess.
Yeah, that void. Yeah. You got to find what is the light, what is the hope, what makes you. And I think that's like...
You've given me so many like quotables here. No, this is hitting me, and I'll explain to you why after you keep
because, everyone's got characteristics about themselves, and like the people who nurtured you and made you who you are, which is your parents, like the qualities of like the nurture, the empathetic, the empathy that I have runs deep from my mother. She is the definition of like what do you call it? Oh, what's the word? An empath.
Yeah.
She knows when anyone's off, and she's a really good read on character, and she has that groundedness and that perspective. Like my mom is probably the person I look up to the most.
Yeah.
Like, if I could be half of whatever she is, whenever I get older and all of that, when life gets a little bit more crazy, that's like I've made it.
Yeah.
And my lightness and that funniness and that bubbliness and all of that humor side and that hideous dancing is from my dad. I had the daggies dancing, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And he was just like the life of the party. My dad was the definition of a life of a party. So like he taught me like have fun.
Yeah.
Don't take it so seriously. And like if that person does you wrong, then screw them, that's their loss.
Yeah.
Move on.
Keep going. There's more people to find.
And I think like, you're growing up, you kind of like get their characteristics of them, and it kind of like you make it your own. You grow into something of your own.
Yeah.
And I think like when you get into that void, that darkness, you need to find, those core memories that made you. And like what made, those memories so special. And like, what do you take from that? And, your light is like look at the good things about yourself. For me, like with the perfectionism, I dwell on my negatives a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me to take myself out and be like, how can I make myself be better? How can I be better?
Yeah.
And I think looking at the light of like, what is good? It could be like, if you're having the most like, what's the best way to put it? when you're having a shit day.
Yeah, you can I was gonna say you can swear.
I'm trying not to swear.
No.
When you're having the most shit day of your life, I find it really good with journaling. I write. It could be 3 things.
Yeah.
What went well?
Yeah.
Just what went well.
Yeah.
What's the light?
Yeah.
What's your light? And I think you got to create your own light, because that's what I've also tried to find hard is what makes you you. What do you love about yourself? Loving yourself, I think, is the most hardest thing anyone can do.
Yeah.
Because this day and age, we rely on so much external happiness that we forget about ourselves. Because we go, oh, that person's got a really good life, I want to be friends with them. Oh, I want this, I want that, I want this and that. And it's all about what I want, not what you need. I feel that it's...
That's so true. It's like it really is like the chase for much more. Instead of realizing, wow, the grass is actually pretty green here.
Yeah, and that's what my mum's also reminded me lately. Yeah. It's just my happiness. I've put my happiness in such external forces that I need to put it internal.
Yeah.
And when you go into that void, you've got to make it find your light.
Yeah.
Within yourself. Don't put it on someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I do. It's like your parents are like, they have one hand on each shoulder as you're walking through life, and if one hand's gone, you know, like that side, you know, kind of lopsided, but like it's you really starting to discover yourself more that, you know, allows you to repair yourself and keep going. Those signs that you were talking about. So we'll talk about this. I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
My auntie Lorraine, she passed a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I think like life of the party, like kind of like your dad. Like, she was always like popping bottles of champagne, like absolutely.
Oh yeah, they're always ones that are making the cocktails, or the ones drinking.
Just lives of the party.
Yeah.
Incredible, and like she's definitely like the heart of the family. And she passed away. Like it was different. I guess we expected it. We knew it was coming, and she was very at peace with it. Because she was
sick. Oh, was she sick?
She was sick. Yeah, but she was religious as well. And
that's really beautiful that you know she came to peace with that. Yeah,
like a bit of a backstory. She actually got an accident. I think it was an accident where she actually died for 5 minutes, and she saw herself going up to like the gates and like the white was going.
No way.
And she got brought back to life, and then she
went
on to live. Yeah,
wasn't her time.
Went on to live to like 80, but like ever since then, she was like so at peace with everything and joyous with everything. It was beautiful. And wow, like when she passed, a couple of days after, so my cousins in New Zealand, they just had a kid, and so that was her great granddaughter. She was a great auntie, or great auntie.
Yeah, so her great niece.
Great niece. That's right. Yeah. And a couple of days after she passed, there was this white pigeon that like came to on the balcony. They just sat on the balcony, and they said they've never seen a white pigeon before, let alone any other pigeon actually coming and sitting onto the on the balcony, and it was just staring at them. It wasn't bothering. It was just staring at them, and then their cat like scared it away. Then the bird came back.
That's crazy.
And it was like
symbolism.
You know what I mean? It is like a weird symbolism. And I don't know if it's my own thing, but I have seen her like very similar
kind of recurrences come up.
Yeah, just like out and about. It's weird. But I do think there is a lot of comfort in that. I don't think it's just like you're looking for it. I do think there is a comfort, and there is something.
I think it comes when you need it the most.
Yeah, 100%.
I think when you need that reassurance, I think like that person from above or whatever the universe, wherever we end up after life. I don't know what it is. But you know, it could be heaven, it could be whatever. Whatever it could be, if you're religious or not a religious person. I think when you go through when you lose someone, I think when you need that reassurance, they will give that to you. and be like, they are here. They're here.
I got goosebumps just. Oh my god!
I think that the reassurance is like they'll know when you need it.
Yeah.
And then they'll come.
Yeah.
But I think when it's someone's time like that, it's their time.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Did you where did you really give yourself that time to grieve? Because like you don't know what you're supposed to do, but like I guess how, and there's no steps.
It all just, acceptance is one. Yeah. I will say that is one that you go through, and anger. Yeah. Anger, sadness, acceptance. I don't know what there's 7 stages of grief.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people thought I coped it in a really healthy way, which is, I did, but I didn't. I numbed myself.
Okay.
And I shouldn't have done that because it brings up a lot of issues later down the path.
In what ways?
It's just like you'll randomly just have something will set you off.
Yeah. And
all you do is like you're like reminded by that of what happened. And I think like what's hard for me is so I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's right.
The way that I like processed it all was needing to be alone, journaling about it, or just like having that alone time, because you could talk to people about it, and like some people will definitely understand. And you know what's so weird? And I always say, don't say sorry. You didn't need, there's no need to be sorry about anything. And it's a way that people connect with you through empathy, and that's why they say sorry. And it's totally normal. Like I can get angry when people go, I'm so sorry. It's when, to me, I don't know if you get this, it's like they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So the sorry is the response that a lot of people fall into, which is totally fine and totally normal. But the one thing that I was really worried about when grieving and everything is that people wouldn't come to me when they needed help. Because since I was going through so much, that my friends wouldn't lean on me. And I just literally when everything, probably 3 weeks later, I remember going to my best friends at the time. I was like, if you ever need anything, still talk to me about it. Still talk to me what you're going through. Don't think we can't talk about things. And that's what really scares me, that since I've been through something so, major, I guess it's pretty major.
It is major.
Something so big, I get worried that people go, I can't talk about it with her because she's been through so much and she'll probably think my issues or what I'm going through is so minuscule to that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so during that process of grief, I was like, no, I want to make sure everyone else is okay at the same time.
Yeah. It's so weird.
So it's really weird. And I did get angry, I think, probably 6 months after. I think I got pretty angry because it's why would they whoever's above, why didn't you give me time to say goodbye? That's what I got really angry about, the goodbye. Why couldn't I just go, could I just have a hug? One final hug, one final kiss, one final just conversation. And that's I think that was the anger part that came about throughout the grief, is why couldn't I just have that goodbye that some people get, but at the same time it's not a good goodbye because it's sick, and it's what, and then you sit there confused, go, what would you really want? And my dad would never wanted to suffer, so if anything, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. My dad didn't want to suffer, so I think that was it. And one thing that was really hard for me to grieve, because my dad and I were really close, is that he never wanted to go away young. He never wanted to pass away young, and that happened. And I'm just fuck. But I think the doctors, which gives me a lot of comfort when I was grieving, that he didn't know what was happening, because it was that quick. It was literally someone turned off a switch. That's how they described it. It was a switch and that was it. Yeah. And it's
not a painful thing, I guess.
No, it wasn't painful.
Well, I guess. So
it wasn't him going through and I have so much empathy for people that have lost people to cancer and everything, because it's beyond me. That's proper
It's so destructive.
Yeah, it's hard to see, people go through that. And I knew that wouldn't be the way he wanted to go. So it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
The way that it all happened. And it's so weird because my dad's dad passed away at the same age that my dad passed away.
Wow.
So it's really weird.
Yeah.
So he passed away from cancer though. So
wow.
And I think that where my dad's saying I don't want to pass away young, it's because of partially that as well.
Yeah.
And another thing that got through my grief, and I actually have a tattoo on me. It's he'd always said from Star Trek. He was a massive Star Trek fan.
Okay.
Absolute goof he was. He'd always say live long and prosper. Yeah, that's the one. He'd always say live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Just prosper. And he was just he always like taught me that you need to live.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't just be like surviving. You shouldn't feel like you're just surviving. You need to experience everything.
Yeah.
He's so big on traveling, going places, doing things.
Yeah.
Like
that's huge.
And he used to work a lot so we could do extra things or we could go away. He loved cruises. So I think like, you know, when the time's right, maybe we'll spread his ashes and do that like on a cruise. Like I think that's a really good way of like the acceptance of it all.
Of course.
But, you know, you still have times where even like this year, like looking back and going like, you've accepted that it's happened, but it's like really like, it's like hard to talk about it as well, like emotionally, like, even though you accept it, it's hard to like, you got your milestones, like turning 21 for me, like it was a big thing, like, but you know, not having a person there is like, it's shit.
Yeah.
But I was really proud of myself this year because normally July and August are really hard months for me because Dad also has his birthday 10 days after mine. So it was kind of like, oh, you've got your birthday, I have mine. Like, and then July was when he passed away. So July 30th. So like that and like the end of July to like kind of August is like just, it's a hard period where I get in like a really dark void. But this year I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's getting better.
Yeah.
And so I think that was like,
wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's the part where it was like, oh, it will get there.
Yeah.
And grief comes and goes. As I said, it's unexpressed love. It's like you can't give the love that you want to give to that person anymore. Yeah. So you've got to grow it into other things. And water yourself in time, like, you know, you've got to water yourself in times that give yourself the water, like life. Give yourself some grace and some gratitude when you are feeling, you know, when it gets all a little bit too hard.
Yeah. And like, it is a beautiful thing that you can go and do exactly what they lived by or what they
and that's what I'm trying to do, like just
live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
And you have your own definition of prosper. It's not just acquiring, it's also experiencing.
He's very big on experiences, so I just was something that, you know, if he could live life to the fullest, I need to do that. So
that's sick.
And that all unexpressed love, that's what I'm going to try and put it into. If that makes sense.
No, it does. You're making you're explaining yourself really well. But it's the sadness and the sadness does come up a fair bit when you are reminded of things that they're not there for, but you need to, you know, give yourself some grace and gratitude and be like, they are there, but they're there in their own way. Yeah.
And the acceptance of them not being there, the inability to say goodbye and having that one last conversation is like, I think that's the hardest thing to accept when someone dies.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
It's extremely.
Because you sit there and you're angry, you go, you're unfair, it's unfair, why did this have to happen to me? You've got other families where, you know, it's so hard, it's hard to see when people, you know, like, but there's reasons why people may not value their dad.
Yeah.
And then that's when you have to go, okay, that's why. And I've gotten like I've accepted that. And it's like, it brings like a tear to my eye, like of happiness.
Yeah. It's
a beautiful thing when I see a family so loving and so caring. Even though I don't have my dad there, it doesn't mean my family's anything less of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's lovely to see that kind of thing. And that's when you go, it's unfair. why did I not have them here with me?
Yeah.
And then that's the acceptance of it all, of those 3 things, as I said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You explain yourself like.
I don't know, I feel like I've done majority talking, I'm sorry.
That's what
I'm
you're
so
here for. I'm not here to talk to just talk. No, you've really, well, you've.
I hope I sound somewhat wise.
Yes, you do.
Do I? God.
I'm like gonna go through it, and every like minute I'm gonna be picking something that's like, oh, that's great.
Really?
Like, I don't know how many little shorts I'm gonna have to.
Oh gosh,
but
I'm such a talker.
This is good. No, this is beautiful. I think catching you, especially at this time after it happening, obviously it was very different to you if I was talking to you like a year after.
Give it back, take it back 5 years, maybe then.
You make sense of it now. And I think, I mean, obviously we'll stay in touch.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I think stuff like this is, you just make your own sense of it. It sucks. It sucks that you
finding your own way of accepting everything.
Yeah. Finding your own comfort. I guess, what would be something you can give people in similar situations, especially you're 16, going through that. I guess some advice for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, can't explain it.
You can't.
It's empty, but it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So
I think, when someone unexpectedly leaves you, or, even in any situation, when someone unexpectedly leaves your life, coming to terms losing that person, it's like a little piece of your heart goes with them. And it's okay if that piece isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
That shows that, you really had love for them.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, not a sad thing at all.
Yeah.
And I think you need to give yourself some grace and gratitude when you are feeling low. You can't always be perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't always expect yourself to be okay.
Yeah.
And if you feel like I've completely healed from this, I have, but you find yourself getting emotional about it, it's okay to feel all those emotions. Again.
Especially, yeah.
And I think this idea of being completely healed, you can be, but talking about it and then feeling it, I think it's a bit two different things.
It kind of reopens.
It reopens the wound. And journaling is a really good thing. I'm a big supporter on that.
Yeah.
Massively. If you feel like you need to talk to someone, go do it. Don't be afraid to reach out and get help. And don't be ashamed of it. And if you feel like you need to cry, cry.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry.
Yeah.
I think I feel like the world's put this stigma that we always have to be perfect and brave and not cry. And I find I don't like crying, trust me. Like I'm sometimes like, I don't want to cry in front of people. Like I don't want to show people my emotions. They don't need to see the raw side of me. They don't need to see the sad side of me. I don't like people seeing the sad side of me. That's why I tend to be a very bubbly person. But it's okay to let yourself cry and feel all your emotions, and don't stop yourself from not feeling, because that's how you let everything bubble up. I should really take my own advice sometimes.
I think so many people say incredible advice and like, oh, I should take myself. I should take this stuff myself as well. I should be easier on myself.
Yeah, and as I said, give yourself grace, be easy to yourself. Like when you go through people leaving your life, and that's a thing as well, people leaving your life unexpectedly, you just give yourself grace and gratitude.
Yeah.
And you've got to remind yourself why you are so amazing too.
Yeah. What your light is.
What your light is, not because things like that. And if you find yourself getting into a period where it's reflecting some, like, for example, yes, you had someone pass away within your life, and then you find some people are living a life unexpectedly. Like, it could be a friendship. I know for me, it's happening. Or someone moving away, or, you could be seeing someone and they're so amazing. They go.
Yeah.
even though people leave your life, you need to learn to grow and water yourself so you can start creating other connections and maybe find the love within yourself. And it's hard when you have, you know, kind of similar situations connecting to that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, you gotta water and pour some love into yourself in those situations and give yourself grace. I think that's the one thing that I always say to people, give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel the way you're feeling.
Yeah.
And you don't need a solution straight away.
Yeah.
Let yourself process it. Don't go straight into the jump in, where's the solution? What can I do?
Yeah.
That's when I think people start getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because they start losing it and they go, what am I doing with myself? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think my one piece of advice, give yourself grace. Always and forever. Yeah.
What do you do?
Why?
You're incredible. Yeah, it's been amazing, and it's so good to see where you're going to,
the person you are. Obviously, I know you just through uni, but I love getting to know you more, and
thank you.
it's beautiful. I really am excited to see who you grow into, who you blossom. That's the word. Who you blossom into, because it's like, it's beautiful. It's like I didn't know you back when it happened.
Yeah.
But I can just see how, with how you're talking about it to where you are now, it's like a huge journey, a huge mountain to climb, and you are climbing it, and you have you've gotten past the obstacles, like the initial obstacles, and you've come to peace with certain things, and you have your own way of doing this, which is, I think, the point of grief. So
it's hard, but everyone goes through grief, I think, in their own ways too. And it's the way you acknowledge it, the way you go through it, the way you come out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may not feel like you're coming out of it, but you have.
Yeah.
It's just learning how to talk about it.
Give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace.
Oh, that's going to be my tagline. So, thank you so much for coming.
No, it's so fun. I feel like I've just rambled this whole time.
No,
I feel so bad talking about myself. Oh, gosh.
No, that's why you're here. I brought you here to get people to know your story. It's good. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on. And see you in the next one.
See ya.